All right. Hi, friends. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to my podcast, One in a Billion. This is a podcast for human transformation. So far, I've been doing solo podcasting. And yesterday, I had this strange idea that I wanted to interview someone. And here we have today with us Sunil Sathyendra, also known as Nimma Sunil, also known as Pungi Dasa. Sunil finds coaching as his way to impact the world. He is a professional certified coach from International Coaching Federation. He has about 600 hours of coaching experience and 150 plus clients. He works with leaders in organizations, lawyers, homemakers, software engineers, doctors, so on and so forth. His additional interests include work life integration, leadership with empathy, networking, building purpose driven teams, mental health, emotional resilience, so on and so forth. He had a corporate job from 2014 to 2022. He was a software engineer and he also did some programs on diversity, equity, and inclusion, employee experience, volunteerism, mentoring, and community building. He is also a poet with 7,000 plus poems, and he is also a podcaster, storyteller, a philanthropist, and a photographer. Sunil, welcome to my show, man.
Oh, amazing. Thanks, Satish. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Always a joy to listen to whatever has happened so far and also to look at whatever is possible from now on. So, always good to be on another podcast. So this is something that's different because I am getting interviewed and I'm very excited to take this forward with you.
All right. When I think about Sunil, there is this quote that is coming to my mind of George Bernard Shaw. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world.
Mm-hmm.
The unreasonable man persists in adapting the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. So I see Sunil as an unreasonable man. How did you become unreasonable, Sunil?
No, I think if my mom sees this, I think she'll be a fan of George Bernard Shaw as well. I think like this unreasonable space sometimes. I've always loved questioning, and sometimes I remember in school. So there's this space wherein I think the entirety of the class said the triangle is inside the circle. And I said the circle is outside the triangle, and like the teacher took some time to even process that this thing. And she's like, "Why are you telling it like this?" I'm like, "That's the same thing. So whatever
Mhm.
is inside, you focused on it." But I said, "Whatever is outside, I focused on that." Essentially, we're saying the same thing. And a lot of such times, I think it's something sometimes you're born with, to look at some things differently. And at some points, I've always derived joy in being the different person, the ones that's
Mhm.
outside. So I've always been the black sheep in many
Mhm.
conversations, and
Mhm.
sometimes also the space has given me a lot of joy. So I've loved that exploration of being unreasonable. And I've always looked at possibilities. So what possibilities can come out of this space? And is it possible that we can change certain things to make things better? And with those possibilities, you never know, you can change the world. So yeah. So
Mhm.
even with fundraising, so we said we wanted to raise say 1 lakh, and I said to each of my volunteers, volunteer leads, saying each of you put 10, each of you look for 10K, and ask 10 people to give you 1,000 rupees, or ask 100 people to give you 100 rupees.
Mhm.
And definitely in your network, you will have 100 people who have enough in their kitty to give 100 rupees. So we are 1 lakh in 3 days. So essentially,
Right.
in 3 days we can bring that amount. But if I am saying, oh, let's raise 1 lakh rupees, people are like, oh, that's impossible. So that's
Right.
how I think, and sometimes it's always an advantage. but not always, because I've had also very interesting and irritating experiences. Also being the guy who's looking at it things differently when all they want is a simple answer.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, man. So you were a software engineer working for a corporate. So how did that transition happen from being an engineer to a coach? And what was it that was missing in your corporate job that you find in coaching?
I think, yeah, I'd like to go a little back in history. So
Hmm.
when I joined engineering in my, say, engineering college, second year of engineering is when writing found me. And I was so passionate about writing, and still am. It's my first love, continues to be, that I wanted to quit engineering and take up writing full time. But it so happened that like the next subjects that came on, and also like familial spaces telling me that it's okay, you finish your engineering first and things will come through. So what happened was I got into campus placement. I had two very interesting subjects out of the 60 subjects we studied, microcontrollers and C. And the work that I got to do in the campus placement and getting into the organization that I was working with, Bosch. So it was a good structure of, that there's a good mapping into that space.
Hmm.
And very quickly at Bosch, like the first year at Bosch, I had already started building a volunteer team. So it was a
Hmm.
beautiful experience I had volunteering for the first time ever. And then we got a few teams together, a few people together to form a team. And I had worked in the volunteering space for 5 years, and then pandemic happened, and then essentially every one of us went back home. So when everyone went back home, the unreasonable man in me took over and said, "Now the entire world is my canvas." And then
Hmm.
my network basically expanded right, left, center. So I had conversations with people in Turkey, people in Romania, people in say Saudi, people in Africa, Germany, Ukraine, you name it, almost every other company, every other, say, country. And with that, it became very clear for me that my space is with people and not with products and processes.
Hmm.
Somewhere even the tech side also got a little bit of a boring. I had like tough burnouts. All these things happened. I would say that the software sector was something that was providing for me, but there was a greater pull somewhere. So that was what got me into the whole people space. I was working with employee experience, and nobody asked me to do certain stuff. I think they had a problem with me doing certain stuff, sometimes better than what they were doing themselves. And I was fortunate enough at the right place at the right time to get into some conversations around building teams that have a purpose, working outside silos, working beyond the current organization. So all of this, I think, came together perfectly well. And yeah, so I was very passionate about the people space. And then I started working with that, mentoring, DEI, building conversations around psychological safety, taking in conversations and experiences of people across the world. So how can we come together as people? So what is the differences? So instead of focusing on the differences that we have between people, focusing on the similarities that we have between you and me. And
Hmm.
that built a lot of beautiful connections. And it basically was a stepping stone to get into that structure. But then the universe had other plans. So I didn't get into the HR sector. But what I did stay with is also I stayed with the people space. And
Hmm.
I initially got into coaching thinking that it is about mentoring. A very easy space, 3 months, I can get
Hmm.
an ACC training certificate. I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, I'll jump through the hoop and get myself into another job in the HR sector. But then, like life has different places, and unreasonable men have unreasonable conditions. So
Right.
I got into this space. As and when I met coaching, I think sort of it was the same feeling as when I met poetry. So
Hmm.
I felt this is my place. And it took some convincing at home and stuff like that. That I continue to do this as a full-time profession and want to do
Hmm.
this full time. So to put an answer to what was missing, I think everything was amazing, but sometimes you have that pull inside that you're meant for bigger things, and I don't know,
Hmm.
just putting it out there, maybe greater things as well. So Yeah.
Great. I can deeply relate with what you're saying, Sunil. I was working for a corporate and a bank for about 15 years. And very recently I came out. I thought I would venture into training and speaking. That's when I stumbled upon coaching, and I was very fortunate to meet some interesting people. And I am still meeting a lots of interesting people across geographies. And this has been a very rewarding experience so far. I still have a long way to go. Yeah. Um, so I read this in your LinkedIn post, Sunil, wherein you mentioned if we fail, we learn. If we succeed, then we are changing the world. And this was this paper bag story.
Yeah.
Can you tell more about this story?
Yeah, I think so. I've also been very fortunate to have sometimes a very brutish thought process saying, if we fail, it's okay. I've been very happy to fail at times because for me, so failure has given more learnings than sometimes succeeding. So sometimes when you succeed, you are not sure. You know only one path to get there. And when things are not working out, so you've tried multiple things, and I'm somebody who's very bullish on certain things. I want to get means I will get there. So, and the entirety of the same philosophy that if we fail, it's okay. We're learning. And if you're succeeding, we're changing the world, was the same blueprint for our entire CSR campaign. So we
Mm-hmm.
started with zero, as in like number of people who are interested was zero, and then we started with 4, then we went with 10, then it went to 14, then went to 30, then it went to 100, then 500. The scale was always bigger. So things were always changing. And somebody said, what can we do towards making plastic reduction a possibility? And the government by then had said single-use plastic, will try to ban that, especially the single-use carry bags. And I am very passionate about the volunteering space, very passionate about sustainability. And you will hear me being passionate about like 100 things, and out of which sustainability is maybe in the top 5. So we decided, to sit down together, have a conversation. And we said, we don't know. We don't know how to make a paper bag. We don't have the resources. Who will get the paper? Where will we get the gum? Who will we sell it to? Or who will we donate it to? We had no idea. So we said, let's do this. If nobody takes our papers, if we have nobody to take it, we'll take it back home, or we will give it off to the Radiwala. No worries. But if we are able to bring some space or some change into this, then we are enabling at least a reduction of, say, 100 paper bags or 100 plastic bags, and that has a bigger repercussion or a bigger, say, cascading effect. And that's how it started. So it started with 1 week. 1 week essentially became 26 weeks. And then we had one day as a complete marathon. And at least until the pandemic came, we were, I think, at around a number of around 7,000 paper bags. And our facilities management was giving us paper. We got to a point where we did not need to use gum. We were getting volunteers right, left, center, and the volunteers were coming in very enthusiastically to the conversation. I was able to meet a lot of people. They were able to meet others, network, build, grow beyond their silos. It was a beautiful experience. I tell myself that if I had listened to people and listened to myself saying, I never know how to go forward, and not done anything, and be not okay to fail, and be wanting to look at everything at perfection the first time, we never would have done 7,000. And we had close to generally 100 new volunteers and lot of repeat volunteers. And even now, when I look back at it, it's one of the fondest memories that I have. I was looking forward to Friday every week, and it was a beautiful experience. The same space has been with my volunteering as well. So we didn't know how to start. We didn't know where to start. We didn't know whom to ask for funds, how to do this. But we said, if the maximum we'll get to is we'll fail. If it works, then we'll have to figure out how to work with this. So we were ready to fail and sometimes not ready to succeed at some points, but we succeeded. Then we used the same methodology. Now what? And then we kept on moving. So over 5 years, I think we were able to work with at least 6, 7 NGOs. work with more than 1,000 kids, raise close than more than 5 lakhs. So alongside the CSR space, our CSR budget was maybe 45,000 a year, but our budgeting for a particular organization was almost 3 lakhs. So we were able to raise the other
Mm-hmm.
funds, non-company funds. And that was a beautiful experience. I think any day, if I want to relive that, I'd relive that any day.
Right. In addition to the experience that you had, I'm sure it must have inspired other folks who are involved in that
Oh, yeah.
process, right? Yeah. So, Sunil, these days, in companies, wherever you go, employees talk about work-life balance, being stressed out, burnt out, and you talk about work-life integration versus work-life balance. So, what is
Mhm.
the difference here?
I think work-life balance somewhere assumes that work and life are two different structures. Like, it's on a two different scale. Work-life integration is like integration in math. Sometimes you don't understand it, but d by dt of something is actually going to give you some answer. And here you're integrating sometimes e to the power of x, because even if you integrate and disintegrate, it'll give you the same space. So if you're going to that space where even integrating and disintegrating it, you're going to remain the same as who you are internally. I think you've achieved integration of the work and life. And
Mm-hmm.
there's more to integration than just the work life. There are so many other things: your social, your economic, your passion, your interest in life, the environment that you are a part of. There are many things that are part of the equation that you need integrated in a life where you say there's meaning. And
Mm-hmm.
we also come to that place of meaning, purpose, that space where it's that ikigai space. So you
Mm-hmm.
come into that particular area, and after that, life really looks beautiful. And I think I've never had a problem with say work-life balance, because it was very clear to me you will never get work-life balance. So you will have to integrate some of the aspects, or bring in so many other factors into this, that I found, like, if I am getting happiness in the work that I'm doing, I don't need to look for things elsewhere. And it may not be always the tech work that was giving me joy, like appreciation from a manager that I was looking forward to. I was very clean with what I wanted to get from office. And I was
Mm-hmm.
getting that in terms of the people that I was meeting, the network that I was building, the positive impact that we were able to make together. So for me, like, I had burnouts and series of burnouts. But what got me through out of that was people, my passion, my interest, sometimes care from others. So it's a holistic space when you're looking at an integration as a word, rather than just as a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very interesting possibility. And I think even now the world is moving out of the even integration phase to put in another fad. But at the end of the day, in balance, integration, etc., is who you are going to the space. You're going there to any organization or any office or any work as the entirety of who you are. So there's no professional me, there's no personal me, and there's no social me. All of you are into
Right.
that conversation. And if you're able to bring all of you, who you are, to any place who you are, where you're getting to, and you're accepted and integrated into that system, you are chill. You're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People talk about, when they get to work, uh, they first understand what am I getting from this work in terms of
Mm.
monetary aspects, in terms of other facilities in the work. But you're talking about the process, or the work
Hmm.
itself is the reward in itself.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's
Because
that's yeah. Please go
hmm
ahead.
yeah. So when I do tell people sometimes, I've had a beautiful experience. I've also had, like, my corporate sector has been good. Now the good, bad, and the ugly. I think all three I've seen. And somewhere, all three of them have actually influenced me in a space to enjoy that space. So I was looking forward to, go, like, I had no Monday blues, because end of Sunday, I had, like, what to do next. I had a list of things to look forward to. I've had my shares of ups and downs, but I was excited to get to the office. And
Mm-hmm.
uh, I used to say that no electronic circuit board ever goes out of production line because without my software testing it. So I was proud of my work, and I
Mm-hmm.
was also sure of what is the bigger impact of whatever I'm doing. Because I had very early experience of my software not working. So I knew where and all the problems are going to go if my
Mm-hmm.
software is not working. Or if I do something that may not be, say, less than, or if my work is less than perfect, how does it impact every other stage of life? I think I had a very strong inkling of that very quickly. And with that, it was a beautiful experience. So I always had a larger picture at place.
Mm-hmm.
And then things moved. Things have not been easy, but I think things kept moving. And there's always that joy saying, oh, I'm doing something and there's a larger purpose. Even with volunteering, even with building teams, even with software, even with talking to people, even with building sub teams inside this place. So it almost at somewhere felt like, if I am going to a place where the place is not the best, I can't live in that place. I will make sure I am an unreasonable man and I'll change that shit there.
Right. Mm.
So
Amazing.
yeah.
So, Sunil, vast majority of people are
Mm-hmm.
not inspired to get up on Monday morning and report to work.
Mm-hmm.
There is a study that says that the heart attacks on Monday mornings is very, very high compared to other days.
Mm.
So I see a lot of ground we need to cover in terms of employee wellness and employee satisfaction.
Big time, big time.
Yeah. So where we can start and how to take this forward.
I think if I was a leader of an organization, I'd first start with being authentic. And being
Mm-hmm.
authentic is not being transparent, not being completely honest, but being authentic is telling people saying, this is what we stand for, and this is what
Mm-hmm.
we have a problem with. I'm only able to run say 30% of my authenticity at this point. I'm able to walk the talk. I think
Mm-hmm.
sitting down and having honest conversations is where everything starts. And that has to come from bottom up and as well as has to come from top down. Sorry, bottom up. So both sides have to
Right.
meet somewhere in the middle, and that's where we'll go. Because I had a very controversial uh, possibility, like in terms of I'd set up a, global event, or I was hosting one hour in a global event across the entire platform of Bosch that said why employees leave and initiatives die. And that was a very well received conversation because I was talking from the heart, saying why are
Mm-hmm.
employees leaving? Because right now, whatever has happened with every organization, right, left, center, is employee experience is about a tick mark, and employee wellness is about a
Right.
tick mark,
Mm-hmm.
and it's become a checklist problem. The same set of things is being looked at in every other sector. And what
Right.
works for, say, an international organization may not work for a national organization, but what we take it from there, we copy paste it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where all the problems are. If you're looking for solutions, and if you're really serious about employee experience, everything will shift. The
Mm-hmm.
problem is we're not serious about employee experience. It's about having to listen to people. And
Right.
I exited from an organization that had close to 20K plus people. In
Mm-hmm.
general, there's a 2 to 3% attrition up and down. How many times have people given feedback while they're exiting the organization? And how many times have HR have actually made a note of it and actually sat down and said, we'll work on something like this?
Mm-hmm.
I would go out on a limb and say zero.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're asking, like, why do you even want to ask for feedback if that's not going to work? We have,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very passionate about this. This can get you into trouble in terms of controversies that can get triggered from this.
Right.
But yeah, our like we put our this mid-year review, end of the year review.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I have got BS every year saying,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, Sunil, you've done great things, but this is how much you're going to give." So over a period of many years, I think I was the first one to ask for my review because I used to take my leaves very quickly. I used to not take leaves and take all of my leaves at the end of December.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to ask them, let's have a review. And most of the times a 15-minute review. I was like saying whatever they said, I'm like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
you're right. And then I'm going to exit because it's not going to work out. The moment somebody loses their interest in these activities, you've got a very bad problem on your hands, and now everybody is lost it. So Mondays are not interesting anymore because you giving so much to the organization, giving so much to a team, but you're not getting back anything in return. So what you do is you play defensive, and you play
Mm-hmm.
just as much as I want to. And that's a culture that you're setting in that's disaster in the making already.
Mm.
So I don't know if you answered your question with one single point, but I
Right.
think there's a series of podcasts. So you've done 60 episodes. I think I can put another 60 with just employee experience.
Right. Yeah. A lot of work to be done. I'm
A lot
sure.
of work to be done.
All right. So you also call yourself as anti-burnout coach.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that, and how do you help people?
Yeah. I think for me, I had been through burnout. So I had been through spaces where I was working uh, 15 hours a day, and sometimes even well into the night. I wanted to prove a point to myself that, hey, I belong to this place. And I've gone through imposter syndrome. I've gone through all those things that, that people go through when they're going through a burnout. And I was physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually exhausted. And I knew the only way out was to get out of this system. And I'd taken a 1 year break in between my office before I actually quit. And then I
Mm-hmm.
came back and then I started working and things changed. But the very fact that I had to take a break, it was a now or never break. I think for me, that was the point where I said something must be done at this point. And as a coach, it's something that I've also seen, even as an individual, that I see people really gunning for certain things, thinking that when they do certain things, it's when they feel they're good enough.
Mm-hmm.
So the belief system that they're working with is something that's not beneficial for them. It's not beneficial for the family that they're working with, their
Mm-hmm.
spouses, their kids, their parents, and they're pushing themselves to a point of working against themselves. Their body is working against themselves at some point. So I am very passionate about people not getting to that phase of burnout. You'll
Mm-hmm.
never know that you actually gone to the space of burnout unless you're actually facing that burnout. So
Right.
your sensors are not tuned. So what I help people with, or I want to help people continuously with, is in terms of enabling that awareness that I am getting into burnout
Mm.
or I should get out of burnout. So all these awareness spaces is where I come in as a coach. And it's about the awareness space, working with the belief systems as to how they should not work. But rather,
Mm-hmm.
rather than should not work as a coach, but rather, is this belief working for you? And what is
Mm-hmm.
it impacting you? And with that, with a few questions around those areas, I think it shifts. It's just holding the mirror for them. And maybe even at
Mm-hmm.
some point, mentoring also people who are on the burnout journeys. So
Mm-hmm.
not just the anti-burnout coach, I'm also an anti-burnout mentor as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, when we see people who are in the extreme end of this burnout stage, and they are still sticking to the same job because they have bills to pay and they have to put food on the table, and if there is no option to quit and find another job, so how do we help these folks, just stay in the job and handle that burnout?
I think it has to be done multiple ways. So first that is whoever is undergoing burnout or people next to them need to tell them that, hey, this is not the path to go forward. And in India, you will find a lot of such radars with others people also switching it on, saying you're going on a burnout hunt and you are
Mm-hmm.
already in a burnout phase. And sometimes your physical body also tells you that, hey, this shit is not working.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are at that, sometimes seeking help, I think the first space is being open that I am in burnout,
Mm-hmm.
accepting that, and then asking for help is again the next big step. So whether you go for a coach, whether you go for a friend, whether you go to a therapist, whether you go to a mentor, the ways in which is different. You can choose whatever works for you.
Mm-hmm.
But the space is that you will need to ask for help.
Okay.
And
What if the person has the character of not asking for help?
I think the problem is then it leads to a more intense burnout, and like these spaces where the physical body takes on that, and sometimes
Hmm.
it gives up. You can push your body to a certain extent, and after that it says thank you, I'm sorry,
Hmm.
bye. It does give up on you. So
Right, right. Hmm.
it will hit them, and when it hits the physicality of the body, I think a lot of
Hmm.
people realize at that point. So even though even the body gives you so many indications saying this is not working, this is not working, at some place it hits you. And
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm making an inference, but generally I think I've seen say Southeast Asian countries, a lot of these patriarchal systems saying I
Hmm.
am not going out of the office until my boss goes out, leads to a lot of places where people are burning out. Some drop dead, some essentially fall to the ground. Some are undergoing serious depression because like nothing in life seems to be moving. All that they're able to see is one thing. And sometimes I don't know which method you use, but somebody that lifts the sort of a single-ended focus that you have, and lets you see the peripheral vision, and that
Hmm.
is the shift. Could be a coach, could be yourself, could be a mentor, could be a guide, could be a friend. But
Hmm.
sometimes when help is coming, it's okay to take help. And
Hmm.
that's been a space for me. I think people carried me through my burnout phases. I had friends drop me home, pick me up from home, wait with me in the elevator when I was really pissed off, walk me through say problem statements. So I've taken help right, left, center, and I'm very happy that I had help.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sunil, you've worked with almost 150 plus clients. Can you share any success story where you could help people to transform their life? Can you think of any success
I
story?
think I would put it like this. So all of the 600 conversations I'd say have always been successful conversations.
Hmm.
Everything has been transformative for the client.
Hmm.
And this is where one of the few places where, the in Kannada we say nirliptate. So it's like sometimes grossly translated in English, a space wherein I am a little away or a little away, upper from the space of whether the conversation was successful or a transformative one. Because
Hmm.
somewhere I very strongly believe it was already transformative. So I have
Okay.
no pressure in myself saying I should make it a transformation for the client. I'm only
Hmm.
coming in as that particular catalyst. So I am driving somebody from Bangalore to Chennai. What
Hmm.
they do when they're driving from Bangalore to Chennai is not my transformation. So I am only doing my job of taking uh, time 0 to time 60 if in that conversation, and then say, okay,
Hmm.
now what have you learned and how have things changed? But people have come back to me over a
Hmm.
period of 2 months, 3 months, even 6 months later, saying, I want
Hmm.
to work with you again. And that's what I feel is transformation.
Hmm.
And with coaches, we're not really essentially in a space to tell this was the problem with my client and this is where they went. In
Hmm.
terms of breaching confidentiality, sharing this, there are like a lot of transformations that have happened. What I can also tell is my own personal transformation. In 600 conversations with me as the coach, maybe around 200 and 250 with me as the client, I think I have personally moved from a
Hmm.
space of I don't know where I'm going to life through saying trust the process, things will move. And
Right.
I think that is the biggest transformation. I am the biggest transformation of coaching. Yeah.
Hmm. Amazing.
Hmm.
So we talk about mentoring and coaching, right? As coaches, we know the difference. For a common listener who doesn't understand the difference between mentoring and coaching, can you say a few words, Sunil?
Yeah, absolutely. So mentoring and coaching is similar. So in terms of both are support activities or support professionals, but there's a delta in that. So the delta is in mentoring, there's a conversational space where there's a two-way conversation. And essentially, it is somewhere like, me asking for something, you have the same experience, and then you're telling from your experience, and you're telling me, hey, I don't know, go to this person, ask from this, seek from that. It's a two-way conversation. And sometimes, you do it with your manager or somebody higher up or somebody who's done something very similar. So it's like asking, how do I file my taxes? And you go to that friend of yours or that bigger brother, bigger sister saying, I don't know, I've never done that before. Can you help me? So they've done it, so they'll teach you, or they'll guide you, they'll handhold you. So that is a lot of mentoring. So coaching, on the other hand, is a beautiful experience. I've had both spaces, mentoring as well as coaching. Coaching is for me I love coaching because I am under no pressure to give you answers as a coach. It's the process of helping you figure out the answers that you already have. So I assume that you already know everything. It's just that it's like switching on the light in a room and you finding out where the switch is. I am not switching on the light for you.
Right.
So I'm enabling you to find where the switch is. Whereas maybe mentoring is me switching on the light for you and enabling you to see what you want to see. So that is the simplest of experience. I'd say you come to mentoring, you come to coaching, you experience both of it. You will have your own versions of what makes a delta, and it also makes the world a better place because more people access mentoring or coaching. It's that you don't have to go through certain experiences that you're going. There's always a way out. It's the same thing that you're removing the shackles for your own burnout. Maybe a coach or a mentor can always help. There's a bigger possibility, there's a higher possibility at play that needs you not to be suffering, but rather thriving. So if you're able to just even think of that possibility, life will change.
Amazing. Thanks for that beautiful explanation, Sunil. Sunil, I can go on, and we can talk for hours together. Maybe we can look at having part two or part three
So
or
yeah.
much more. So, just a final question here. As a coach, what is the impact that you want to have on the world?
I think what I want to personally is get to a space, I think, where we are more kinder to each other. I think that's a very lofty, very large goal.
Right.
And somewhere it starts with being kind to ourselves. And that comes through in different ways through coaching. And I think also for me, when I listen to certain stories of transformational, listen to stories of change, uh, share my own stories of change, I think it's some way impacting the world in that space. So I would even maybe answer it in an encapsulation that sometimes it's not me as a coach, not me as a poet, not me as a like a silo or a structure that we have defined, but rather as an energy source. I would like to impact the world and get impacted in a way that the world becomes a kinder, sweeter, more beautiful place. All of us have it in us to make that possible, and somewhere I want to just spark that and then make sure things move. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. All right, Sunil. Any book or any podcast that you want to recommend to our listeners?
This is a very interesting question because I write books and I do podcasts.
All right.
Yes, but yeah, maybe one of the things that I'm massively passionate about is how Indian wisdom and say Vedic wisdom can actually make a difference in our lives by knowing what was the story behind some of the stories, some of the rituals that we bring through. So I am very passionate about this space of Vedic history, Vedic religion. As a podcast, I think as a book, I think the Bhagavad Gita is the uh, most fascinating and most comprehensive book out there. There is one series of YouTube videos, I think, explaining the Gita, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the role of Bhishma, the role of Bhima, by this beautiful personality who's no more with us, called Dr. Bannanjay Govindacharya. It's
Mm-hmm.
whatever I've heard is only in Kannada.
Mm-hmm.
But for those who know Kannada, I think it's a gem. You must listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And your perspective about certain things, the etymology of certain things, why we're doing things, why we follow certain rituals, and how following those rituals can change a life. I think it changes a lot. It's made me a better person. It's made me look at some of the rituals with a greater level of respect, and somewhere also integrate those minute learnings in my life, and make life interesting for myself. Yeah.
All right, Sunil. Sunil Sathyendra, transforming people's lives, making our planet a better place to live. My salutes to you.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much for what you're doing, and keep up your good work. And I look forward to connecting with you. For all the listeners, I'll put the LinkedIn profile of Sunil's in the show notes. So please check it out. And for all the listeners, I'm back again. And thanks for joining on yet another episode of my podcast. I wish you all an amazing day. Thank you very much, Sunil.
Thank you.